I was trafficked to powerful people. Those were the words of Virginia Giuffre, used and then passed to other men. Another survivor, Maria Farmer, understood very quickly that she did not matter, that she existed to serve the appetites of people who would never face consequence. These aren't metaphors, this is how power encounters the powerless. But why should any of this shock us? Why would an elite long practiced in killing overseas suddenly discover a moral boundary at home? Iraq, sanctions and war that killed hundreds of thousands of children, openly acknowledged, calmly justified as the price of policy. Cities leveled, civilian life extinguished, devastation explained away with words like security, strategy, national interest. Abu Ghraib, detainees stripped, sexually abused, photographed, mocked, humiliated, their bodies turned into instruments of domination. We were told this violence was exceptional, that it happened over there to brown bodies, to nameless, faceless prisoners. But here's the truth Western societies avoided for decades: an elite willing to starve populations, flatten cities, and sexually brutalize detainees abroad has no difficulty brutalizing those it deems inferior at home. The line between foreign brutality and domestic morality was always fictional, a comforting story sustained by distance, by racism, by narrative. What gets handled through press statements abroad gets handled through settlements at home. What's justified with security overseas is buried under non-disclosure agreements at home. And that's why Gazze was not an anomaly. Gazze belongs to the same moral architecture, the same hierarchy of human worth, the same assumption that some lives count and others are expendable. Children abused on a private island here, children buried beneath rubble there, children placed aboard aircrafts chartered to satisfy the appetites of the rich and powerful, flown discreetly, quietly, to be used and abused without consequence. Children killed by aircraft, dispatched openly and repeatedly to serve the strategic interest of the powerful, bombed from the sky at their discretion, their deaths ignored, minimized, or narrated as necessity. The perpetrators are animated by the same unshakable sense of entitlement and impunity, by the belief that they possess the right to dictate the fate of others, to brutalize them if they so choose, whether in Florida or in Gaza. And this isn't just about individual monsters, it's about a class that dominates global power and capital, tech oligarchs, financiers, war profiteers. The people extracting wealth at home are the same people profiting from destruction abroad. The faces change, the logic doesn't. Exploitation here, annihilation there, profit everywhere. And here's where the picture sharpens. Ehud Barak, former Israeli Prime Minister, moved comfortably through Epstein's world, visited him over 30 times between 2013 and 2017, even stayed at his New York residences for long periods of time.
At one point, Epstein advised Barak to look at Palantir.
That suggestion is revealing. It situates Epstein's world not only as a site of personal excess, but as the junction where elite indulgence, intelligence logic, and cutting-edge war technology converge. Palantir, an intelligence software company built for surveillance states and battlefields. Since October 2023, Palantir has deepened its partnership with the Israeli military, providing tools for AI-driven warfare, platforms that fuse intelligence, logistics, and targeting, what the military now calls the digital kill chain. Human judgment compressed, moral hesitation automated, genocide turned into workflow. And Palantir CEO doesn't hide the ideology. He supports Israel's right to kill en masse, philosophically considers it a civilizational duty. What Epstein curated socially, access, insulation, mutual implication, companies like Palantir now operationalize technologically. Contempt for human life is no longer personal, it's institutional, programmable. And when violence is embedded this deeply in software policy and profit, it no longer needs disguise. It can be spoken openly. Might is right, as Trump's ultra-Zionist national security advisor Stephen Miller openly declared. In Gaza, Venezuela, or behind closed doors in Florida. This elite isn't just powerful, it's raised on exceptionalism, on entitlement, on immunity, a closed world where rules are for others and consequences are negotiable. That's why they gravitated to Epstein. He didn't invent their crimes, he affirmed them, he made them feel exceptional, untouchable. His real offering wasn't pleasure or excess, it was confirmation that the moral order applied to lesser beings, not to them, the chosen, the elect. His gatherings weren't just parties, they were auditions, private jets, secluded estates, rituals of belonging. But those who entered drunk on privilege didn't just indulge, they became trapped. What felt like freedom with no limits was exposure. What felt like immunity became leverage, a noose around their necks. They didn't fall into Epstein's web, they became hostages to it. And the final irony is obscene, because this same elite presents itself as the global standard of enlightenment, the arbiter of civilization, the judge of the world. It brands others, those subhumans in Asia and Africa, as backward, savage, violent, then weaponizes those judgments to justify domination, subjugation, even annihilation. Gazze was not a deviation from their values, it was their culmination. The moment a class long accustomed to exercising power without restraint did so in full view of a watching world. The Epstein files expose the ugly private face of this obscene order. Gazze exposes its public one. Together they strip away the last illusion. This was not a failure of values, it was their logical outcome.